All right, if you've been watching these videos, you've probably gathered that I taught in an elite MBA program, and that is Kellogg School of Management. It's Northwestern's business school. And I taught there as an adjunct faculty member. I got started when I was pretty young. I was teaching at workshops and whatnot in my late 20s. I started teaching as an adjunct faculty member. I had my own 10-week course in my early 30s, and that is pretty young. Sometimes I had MBAs who were older than me in class. And usually when people find out that I was an adjunct faculty member at Kellogg, they have two questions. And the first one is, why were you teaching there? And the second one is, how did you get started teaching there? And those are totally valid questions. In today's video, I want to answer both those. Then I want to talk a little bit about my learnings on the teaching side of things. So things that I noticed across students, across all the quarters that I taught. And then I will give a little bit of feedback or just like general advice to people who are in an MBA program or looking to go to an MBA program. This won't be about admissions or anything like that. It'll just be about a different thought process for when you enter or things that may be helpful to take with you when you go or enroll in an MBA program. I will caveat all of this by saying I love Kellogg. And if you haven't visited that campus, it's unbelievable. It's jaw-dropping. It's one of my favorite places in the Chicago area. The global hub is just inspiring to walk into. And not only that, the faculty and the students there are top of the top. And if you have the chance to go to Kellogg and you're debating between, some of these top MBA programs, I would absolutely urge you to strongly consider Kellogg and at least visit the campus because it's an amazing place. So just keep that in mind. Like, of course, I'm gonna be a little biased when I'm going through this, but also you didn't come here for a review. So with that in mind, I wanna talk about how I got involved with Kellogg. My path to becoming a faculty member was unconventional, and it really started many years ago when I was working on an app. I was talking to various venture capitalists in the Chicagoland area, and I had a meeting with Listen Ventures, and I met their partner there, Rick Desai. And Rick and I had a great conversation. He was already an adjunct professor at Kellogg, and he was spearheading this like entrepreneurship initiative, and his class was super popular. And in his class, MBAs got a chance to test out their ideas. So they would come with like a product, and his class was responsible for giving them the tools to like make their first sale or launch their product online or whatnot. And there were some fun ideas that have come out of that class. And so he was then looking for people to help him with a digital workshop and asked me if I would come talk about marketing and product funnel optimization. And so I did both of those and it was really good. And Rick then invited me to his 10-week course to talk a couple of those weeks and give that same type of lecture. And I did that many times, and by the end of it, we started to realize that his feedback at the end of the quarter was that students loved the execution-based workshops. They wanted to learn the skills. MBAs were either going to take these skills and use them for themselves, or they were going to take these skills and go manage someone else, and they just wanted to know how it was done so they could like better evaluate what was going on. The long short of it is we went and we pitched Kellogg on creating a class that was based on execution. So you come to this 10-week course, we'll cover Facebook ads, Google ads, product funnel optimization. We'll introduce you to Google Data Studio. Some of the stuff that I'm covering in these videos, but we were doing this in more detail and giving students the hands-on experience. In fact, we even gave students a $200 budget so that they could run Facebook ads on their own company, a friend's company, or just a business that they wanted to market on behalf of. Anyway, Rick and I taught our first class for a quarter. It was a success, and then I went on to teach, I think, 6 more quarters. And recently just asked if I could have a little bit of a break to focus on a few other things. In this section, I want to talk about what I learned teaching these MBAs. And so this is different than the advice section. I want to talk specifically about things that jumped out to me that were like common themes or just some takeaways, some things that I might have been wrong about. And the first one is that everyone starts as a beginner. So in the first class, I assumed that all of these MBAs coming from really diverse backgrounds would progress at various rates throughout the class. And what happened quarter over quarter is that no matter what students came in, no matter what background they had, everyone seemed to progress at a relatively similar rate. The paths of learning were different, but everyone got to where we were going at roughly the same pace. It's not like anyone was way ahead or got there much before. I mean, I had a few students who like really excelled, but outside of that, the hundreds of others that I taught, they moved in a similar pace. So my takeaway and what I find interesting is that no matter what, background and no matter how intimidating it is to be sitting next to people with like such accomplished careers, the way that people learn new material, it takes time. Everyone's a beginner. A beginner is a beginner is a beginner. And so in this case, no matter how much horsepower someone had, mental horsepower, everyone progressed at roughly the same pace. Now the second thing is, and it's kind of similar to the first point, but like everyone learns at roughly the same speed, but the way that they learn is different. And for me, this meant it's impossible to make everyone happy. And what I mean by that is throughout the quarter, we had guest speakers, and some people would love one and some people would not like that one. Or at the end of the year, I got evaluations, and some people, their favorite aspect of the class was how execution-based it was. And some people thought it was too execution-based. And so my learning on all of this was it is impossible to make everyone happy. I mean, you get to a certain threshold where you just have to cross that off and not even attempt to do it because it'll make you go crazy. So my takeaway from this is do what you think is best, do what works for the general population. Don't get discouraged if there are a few people where they would change something, because overall you're looking to try to teach 50 people something new. So at the end, I just switched from trying to appease everyone to doing what I thought was best and letting people react how they reacted. The next thing I want to talk about, it was a recurring issue through all of the classes that I taught. And you've heard fake it till you make it. That's where you don't have the skills and you fake confidence until you're able to develop the skills. What I was dealing with, or what I noticed as a professor, was the opposite side of things. And this was that the students should have had more confidence. So I found myself saying, you have the confidence, speak up in these meetings. You're ready to go. Don't be self-conscious, just go for it. So that was a recurring issue where I found myself continuously saying, you have the skills, you can speak up, go for it, do it. And instead, students would sometimes be a little shy or self-conscious. And that was just something that I learned. And of course, it's hard to have the confidence when you've just learned something new to take it into a professional setting and try to be strategic with that information. But they could pull it off. And the last thing I want to talk about is the quality of the students. And I knew that it would be really high. Kellogg is an elite, top tier business school, but I was blown away by the talent of these students. They're so curious, and everyone picks things up so quickly, and the way that they can apply this knowledge to discussion is unbelievable, and the morale is really high, and you just feel inspired being around these students. That was the best part for me, was interacting with students during class, was interacting with students during office hours. And it was just a pleasure. I mean, it was awesome. And it's what I miss the most right now being on break, is that I don't get to interact with these students. And finally, my advice to current and future MBAs, and this is not, I don't have an MBA, so this is just my experience watching and talking with MBAs while they were going through the program. The first thing is that 2 years sounds like a long time, but it's really short. And I think that if you go into a place like Kellogg and you're trying to explore all of the careers out there, you're gonna find yourself crunched for time when you look for a job post your MBA, post business school. So instead, I think what I would do is a little bit of soul searching before you go into your MBA and narrow it down to a couple things that you think you're interested in. And this is mostly for career transitioners. So someone who's trying to jump industries, have a few industries that you really think you wanna go into so that you can start day one looking for the internships or taking the right classes. Because if you get past your first year and you still have no idea what you want to do, recruiting during the second year becomes difficult. Finding the right classes, networking, all of this is much more complicated when you're still looking for what you want to do post business school. So 2 years sounds like a lot of time, but if you are trying to pull off some major career transition, it's going to require a little bit of work before you get there so that you have some direction when you walk in and can take advantage of your experience there. Next, you will get out what you put in. And this is true to my class, and I assume that it's true to business school in general, but students who came to my class and really wanted to learn the material and went above and beyond and started marketing for their own thing, or just took advantage of office hours. These students got a lot out of class, and some of them were able to even go build businesses after taking this course. And if I were going into an MBA program right now, I would be ready to just invest my time in and even if it's not like the most fun thing, invest my time in what I think would be most beneficial for me, either during the 2 years or afterward. So this is career oriented. You want to set yourself up to find the job that you want or start on the career that you want post business school. So get ready to roll up your sleeves and do the work, and you will be rewarded for doing the work. And finally, office hours. I would advise any MBA to take advantage of office hours. The faculty at a place like Kellogg is unbelievable. And if you can get time on a professor's calendar and even talk about your business or just general concepts, you get so much back. So for me, some of the best conversations I had during office hours were when students brought me their startup and just wanted to chat about strategy stuff or bounce ideas off, or even career changing. So I had some students come to office hours a few times, and in the beginning, it was really course based until I said, this is great, but also I'm happy to chat with you about if this is the field that you want to go into, or what companies make sense, or if I can make email intros. And that was always a highlight, and I think a really productive use of time for both the student and me, because everyone comes out of there with feeling like they've added some value. Those are the things that I would do if I were getting an MBA now. The first one is I'd have a direction going into business school of what I think I want to be doing after business school, because 2 years is short and you're gonna hit the ground running right when you start. The second is be ready to just put in the effort or the time or the work to get what you want, and you'll be rewarded for it. And the third is take advantage of office hours and the amazing faculty that is there to help you and support you as you're working through your career. If you like this stuff and want to support the channel, then I would love it if you subscribed. And I have a few other videos that I think you might find interesting. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.